Hey, we are live on a Wednesday. It's another episode of SnL. My name is Lane.
And I am Scott. Welcome, everybody. We're excited to bring you another episode.
Exactly right. We're going to be talking about a couple different things here. We're going to be talking about high lumber costs. That seems to be flooding the news lately. We're going to be talking about housing shortage. Is there a correlation between are the high lumber costs fueling a housing shortage?
Exactly. We're seeing everywhere across the news today that just the lumber prices have skyrocketed, and this impacts everyone from the do-it-yourselfer that wants to build a gate at their house to the person that's considering buying a new home, or someone even doing an add-on on their own home.
Exactly right. So let's just jump in really quick on a graph as far as lumber pricing. I'm going to share my screen here. So give me a second while we do this. And voila, here we go. So right now what we're looking at is we're looking at the 1 year. So as you can see, in 1 year, it went up as high as more than 350% of an increase, 365.75. It's starting to tail back down with a couple little spikes here, but it's still overall from 12 months ago, really high.
Absolutely. And Lane, you've got another point on your graph. You can let us know what is that we correlate to, yes, in price per 1,000 board feet.
Exactly. Lumber, US dollar per 1,000 board feet. We're looking at 1190.2 here, as high as where are we here? 1643, 1647 here. So yeah, I mean, lumber is expensive right now. And there's a lot of the areas, we were just talking about this before the call, but the Midwest is affected quite a bit here because of an increase in demand. A lot of people are looking for new homes there. And a lot of Californians, at least over the last 12 months, have been moving to areas of the Midwest. And so that might be preventing, at least here locally, from some potential homeowners of putting their homes on the market, which means that they're staying in their homes for a little bit until that supply maybe loosens up a little bit and there's a little bit more of an increase in supply. And then now they'll have options of where to go in the future. But until they do, that's going to put a real strain on inventory for us here locally as well.
I think, Lane, you're absolutely right. And this stat is kind of anecdotal, just what we're seeing in talking to our clients on a daily basis. Many of these folks are millennials that are thinking of getting cheaper housing in other parts of the country because they can now work at home a lot more. They're feeling they might be able to get a bigger house with more land to raise their family. And also our empty nester clients that are moving away to take that nest egg that they've worked so hard for, and again, also get more space, maybe be close to other family members. And as Lane mentioned, the Midwest has been the most impacted by this, and a lot of our clients have been considering moving back there. We've had clients express interest in parts of Oklahoma, Kansas, even upper Midwest, Minnesota, South Midwest, Tennessee. So we definitely know from conversations we're having the desire to move to some of these areas is quite strong. But if there's no houses for these folks to purchase, they're just staying put right now, putting a further strain on our local inventories.
Yeah, and let's talk about that backlog a little bit. So right here, according to Bloomberg, backlog of new homes sold last month, they are, let's see, the last month construction rose 16.5, but it was still the worst. It's been the worst since 2006 as far as the backlog of homes sold for last month. So there's never been more backlog, and there's been a higher backlog of homes, never been a higher shortage of new homes, new construction since 2006. So 15 years of having the highest backlog that we've seen. Yeah. And then part of that too, Scott, B of A reported lumber is adding 34 to 35,000 automatically on average nationally to the cost of new homes.
And when we think here in California prices, you think, my goodness, that's not even a blip on the radar screen with the average price, for example, in Orange County, well over $1 million. But translate that to the average cost of a home across the nation, which in many areas is still only about $250,000 to $350,000. You're talking anywhere from 10 to 15% increase in the price of a home, and that's fairly significant to a very large segment of the population. And of course, it impacts their ability to get a loan.
But it's not just lumber either, right? So like workers, there's a high demand for good contractors right now, and they're backlogged, and they. Some of them here locally are booked out over 12 months. The supply chains are really strained right now too. So it's not just the lumber supply, right? It's just supply for home build in general. Everything is backlogged, and those prices are increasing. So lumber at 35,000, if there's an increase in other materials, that you're looking at 100,000 maybe.
I think, Lane, you've got an excellent point there because, again, we're seeing that in our own marketplace. Whether you want to hire a handyman or you want to go buy a refrigerator, everything has gone up. And again, I'm not an economist. We don't know exactly where inflation is going. But I think that $34,000, $35,000 cost added to a home because of lumber is just a percentage of the overall increase that's probably most likely out there.
Yep. So a couple of the questions that we see online, at least a lot in regards to lumber, is when will it go down, and if it will go down, and why will it go down if it does?
Well, I can speak to that a little bit. I've been doing a little bit of research, and we've got lots of stats coming from Forbes, Wall Street Journal. Let's look at, first of all, kind of the baseline where Lane pointed out on the graph today. Right now, we are at about $1,000 plus, dollars per thousand board feet of lumber. Historically speaking, the average has been $300 to $400 per thousand board feet. So you can see a huge increase that we have right now. Let's talk about what the predictions are for the next few months and then the next 18 months, and then we'll get into the whys behind that. What we're hearing is that by the end of summer, we should be in the $700 to $800 per thousand board feet of lumber. And by the end of 2022, we're looking at down to $550. So number one is all the experts are saying probably not down to the historic average lows of $300 to $400, but hang in there in about 18 months, we'll be down to $550 or so, roughly 4,000 board square feet. Now, we might ask, when we want to ask, what are the factors that will be leading to that? Well, I kind of curated a lot of data, and there seems to be three underlying reasons that kind of pop up the most. Number one is we're expected to see domestic lumber production soar in the coming months, and there's no surprise there. With COVID restrictions, we know a lot of the lumber mills were absolutely shut down, locked down completely, and there, from what I hear and what we read, there's no shortage of the supply with the way the forests are grown these days and everything with renewable supply and so forth. But once those lumber mills get up and running again, they're going to start producing because there's plenty of raw lumber and trees out there to make the lumber from. So number two, we're also expecting the imports to increase. Again, we know supply chains across the globe have all been interrupted greatly, but so that stands to reason that as those loosen up, our imports are going to also improve a little bit. And then third, just getting the lumber to the source of construction sites has been a big problem. Again, also with COVID, but also with a shortage of good labor. What we're hearing is that there's going to be an increase in pay offered to truck drivers out there. There's lots of incentives now for hiring truck drivers. So a lot of people are gravitating into that career. It's becoming more lucrative. It's a good moneymaker. And the more people we have employed as truck drivers, the more trucks we'll have available, and the more easily it's going to be to move that lumber across country. So again, to summarize, we're going to see some easing by the end of summer, but probably 18 months before we see things drop back down to what will be the new norm of a low.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty good because if we go back down to 500, right, Scott, that would be an increase of what, 20 to 25% above the average, which is a lot better than 400% above the average right now. So,
right.
Yeah, that would hopefully help, things as far as pricing. That would hopefully help things as far as moving along a little bit quicker, opening up supply. So the more supply that we can have is from a housing standpoint across the country, the easier it will be, I think, for people to buy and sell, really. I mean, right now it's very, very frustrating for buyers out here in our local marketplace.
I think you're right on, Lane. And I guess what I'm seeing when I look at that, it's encouraging. It's not an instant gratification pill. Again, slight easing through the end of summer and then continuing improvement until the end of 2022. And then that's going to kind of perhaps be that new normal.
Well, it looked like already in the graph that we pulled up earlier in the show that it's starting to come down a little bit off the peak too. So yes, hopefully that ease continues over the next 12 to 18 months, as you mentioned.
Absolutely. And there's another stat that I kind of looked at that I found kind of interesting. They say that the focus is really returning to travel and getting outdoors now for a lot of people, where it's been staying inside, hunkering down, staying at home, spending their money on home improvement. So on a smaller measure, if we take that demand for the lumber, it's going to kind of decrease as people pursue other activities that are outside of the home. So that's kind of a good thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, how about we give something away today?
I think it's an awesome idea. We love giveaways. Gosh, I feel like Oprah or Ellen. Let's do it.
Okay. So for those of you that have been following us on our emails and our social media channels, we like to play a game occasionally. It doesn't happen very often, so look out for when it does. It's called Where's Lane? And every time we get a new listing with the 3D tour, not every time, but a lot of times, but I like to hide somewhere in the home. Make it, it's kind of difficult. It's kind of like a Where's Waldo theme, and you have to tour the home and find me somewhere. And I try purposely to make it difficult for you. And we had several that were able to find me, and that was really fun to do so. So thank you for your replies to your emails and your direct messages on Instagram. I have all the winners in my 7 Gables mug here.
All right.
they're in here. So I'm going to shuffle it and pick the winner out, and the winner gets $100 to Amazon. So.
Right.
Hey, it pays to participate with our games and our contests, and one lucky winner right now. I'm looking at the camera, not looking at the mug, so that way it's completely.
Well, I want to look at the mug, Lane. I want to see.
Joanne P. Joanne P. Yep, Scott, you might want to deliver that one.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Joanne P. We know who you are. We know where you are, and we're so excited that you've participated in the contest, and so many of you did do so. And again, we love doing things like this because it's not just about selling houses, providing information, having fun along the way with our clients.
Absolutely. So in percentage wise, how much lumber can you buy with a $100 Amazon gift card?
Oh my gosh. I was looking at the average cost of a 2x4 was like $3 and something kind of when it was at the low. And now, it's up to like $13 or something. So I'm guessing maybe we've bumped out back down to about $10. So I guess Joanne can buy 10 2x4s.
All right, sounds good. Maybe you can make a birdhouse or something, but
or a bench.
Or a bench. There you go. Well, we love doing these SNL shows, and we promise we'll be back next week, same time, same place, with a different topic. If there's anything specific that you want us to bring up, please leave that in the comment section. If there's something that we said that you think somebody else would find value, share that with them. That's the best form of love that you can show us, by liking, commenting, and sharing this post. Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, thanks so much. And again, we hope you enjoyed today's show. It was short but sweet. But again, we curated a lot of data from a whole bunch of different places. Hopefully shed some light on this very, very important and timely topic right now. Thanks for watching.